right, there we go. We got the bots. Well, thank you, Ricky, for doing this with me today. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I'm keen.
All right.
I'm good to go too.
Yep. Can you copy and paste the list that we talked about?
I just did this. I'm just gonna post it to you.
That's fine.
Let me get water and then I'll be good to go.
Yeah, let's do it. Alrighty, so
let's go.
All right, so talk to me. Back in the beginning when there was not but SDA and the rocks and the leaves and the whatever Sama says.
Yeah.
Talk to me about like the walk me through like
unique.
What makes this game like so? I guess what's the challenge in running this game from the outside looking in all the way back?
I'd say the main thing that Jak 1 had going for it, just as a whole, was the fact that Jak 1 came bundled with a lot of PS2s all over the world. So a lot of people's first game was actually Jak 1 because when you would buy a PS2, Jak 1 would also come with it. Meaning that the game just sold extremely well overall. And that pretty much led it to somebody was probably eventually going to speedrun it. And that didn't happen, too far after its release.
Right.
There we go. So that leads into the MKT Ben Fichter run. I thought his name was Ben Fisher, but it's Fichter.
Fichter, yeah.
Any Fictas?
that would be like such a great emote. It's like it sounds like an emote like suffix, like it's like outrag Fichter.
any Ben Fictas?
Where my hose at? All right. All right. So talk to me about Ben Fichter.
So the one thing I do know about Ben Fichter is his run was word of mouth because the people that knew about Ben Fichter's run were the people that were around all the way back in the day. When I came around the scene, Zenic Reverie's run on SDA was the most recent addition. If you submit a run to SDA under a specific because his run was 80%, but it was segmented.
Mm-hmm.
And Zenic's run was a single segment 80% run, but it was faster. So what they do on SDA is they overwrite that run. So they overwrote Zenic's run with Ben Fichter's run. So a lot about that run was word of mouth. So I really don't know anything about the specifics, but I do know that to this day that run gets roasted for its hilarious comments of being afraid of spiders and just not being very good overall. It was a start, but yeah, it was rough around the edges for sure.
Mm-hmm. I talked to somebody, forget who it was, but they gave him the benefit of the doubt on this one thing, and that he only did each segment 3 times. Like
I think did he just do hub 1, then hub 2, then hub 3 or something?
Yeah, he did every cell in the first 3 because he didn't know the back half of the game that well. But one of the things, so I said, it's kind of unforgivable because it's a segmented run. You can do the segments 1,000 times, right? But he was recording on VHS. So he physically couldn't do that. Right? Because you couldn't re-record over the VHS that many times and have it be coherent. Like it would just wear out the tape. So I was like, okay, if there's one benefit, if there's you're gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, it's like, okay, the physical medium of which he recorded his run to was flawed in that way. Not conducive for speedrunning.
That's interesting. Yeah, I do know about the VHS days. I know a lot about the VHS stuff because of the Elite. They've told me stories.
Mm-hmm. So, and then we're gonna skip a little bit, but we're gonna go to Zeppelins, our lad down under.
Yep.
Talk to me about Zeppelins.
Most speedrunners that I talked to back in 2012, back when speedrunning was kind of coming out of the underground and sort of hitting the mainstream for the first time, everyone was kind of mesmerized by the world of speedrunning, and just everyone was super nerding out about just how cool everything was, and races, runs, gold splits, like all these new things and new innovations happening all at once. Like the world of speedrunning was evolving around us all. And to Zeppelin's, it felt like he had experienced that for a while. It felt like he was never really that kind of engulfed in that world, which made him a very down to earth person overall. He was very like human, like in a way, like he wasn't that nerdy as many other speedrunners, were at the time. Like I said, he's not super engulfed in this world of speedrunning. But he definitely was pretty good at the game, and he was very like he knew where, like he knew how to be a like how do I say this? He was very like he was very encouraging in definitely a lot of ways.
Oh boy! All right, we still have Georg, so we're still good to go.
Okay. He was very encouraging in a lot of ways. I remember, I was 15, and I remember just this random quote of him. Just we were talking about our looks or something, and he was saying that I was going to turn out to be a handsome guy or something like that. I mean, he was just a very pretty likable guy overall. Like he was definitely a good mentor, and for people that didn't even have capture cards or anything like that, he was just very nice to everyone in his chat. Super small community at the time. I would say me and him were like pretty much the community, because we were the only ones that really had capture cards. But there were a couple other people at the time who were around, and he was definitely trying to push them to really, he was trying to push them to play Jack 1, record their runs, share their strategies and knowledge and stuff like that, because he was very aware of the fact that the game had a lot to go. And he was also very aware that he wasn't the only one that could do it. I remember a quote from him back then was, one man can't do it all himself. And he was very, very right about that, for sure. That's definitely an ahead of its time, like, kind of thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's perfect, by the way. So talk to me about, but the runner before Zeppelin's is Zenig Reverie, right?
Yep.
And the thing, I think one of the hallmarks of Zenig's run, I've watched it more than once, is he does all the things that Ben didn't do that are like no-brainer stuff. Like he disables hints, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he roll jumps more often. And he goes to Spider Cave because Spider Cave has a few like really fast power cells.
Exactly, yeah.
But then it's also like better movement. Like it's not just, I'm just gonna roll jump more. It's also, is he like what Zenig really was, what his goal was deathless single segment.
Yeah. Let me just like have the run up in the background as I'm talking about it, because I think that would really help just to give me some context.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, this is so outdated. Looking at it, it really is outdated. Super outdated. Holy shit.
Well, it was 12 years ago.
I didn't. Oh, you got wireless?
What?
Do you have wireless headset?
No, my fridge is just really close to my desk.
Okay, I'm watching Zenix run, and it's like, holy moly, this is slow. This is slow. Holy shit! I mean, you can tell he's moving, like he's trying to do some roll jumps and stuff. Oh, that was actually a pretty cool roll jump. But yeah, he's doing some stuff. But it's man, this is old. Holy shit. Okay, I gotta stop watching this before I get too distracted. I'm not like disgusted, but I'm fascinated by like how it was. So I gotta like distract myself here. But Zenig's ultimate goal was deathless single segment, and for the time that seemed like a tall order, considering the game was like an hour and a half. Well over at that time. But he managed to pull it off, and you can probably tell that there were a couple safety measures he did to make sure that he didn't die. But I mean, overall, it is still kind of cool for the time that was the criteria he wanted to fit. Obviously, he missed out on a decent amount of time save, because of that. Death warping is definitely, even back then I would say is kind of a no-brainer, but I'm pretty sure SDA had some kind of rule about that, which is, always great. But
Yeah.
SDA did also, not SDA, but Zenix Run did also have some more updated stuff over Ben Fictor's run. I mean, it's like the routes were by far and away just like way better. I mean, he actually like went to Spider Cave and he actually got some Hub 3 cells, which turns out that those kind of cells are actually really fast. And his movement was also just like, I mean, it's pretty basic. Like there's not really many shortcuts he does. Like he takes a lot of intended pathings. The game, the pathing that he takes is also fairly intentional. But he does it in like a speedy manner in the sense of like he's waiting for platform cycles, for example, in like LPC and stuff like that. But he is still like roll jumping and punching a lot more than Ben Fictor ever was, which is, you have to start from somewhere. And I think Zenix Run is definitely a big upgrade, especially in terms of routing and stuff. So definitely a big up on that one.
Yeah. So how does Zeppelin stack up against Zenek right after, like in his like first record? Like how do the two compare? Or
it's funny you say that, because in the script it says that Zeppelin's was slower because he didn't time the opening cutscene, and also so saved 12 minutes over Zenek with save and load, and with also death warps too. I'm guessing he added those in too, and then also the opening cutscene, he also skipped that one. So that's where I didn't know. I didn't know that Zenek didn't. I mean, I don't think it's. I wonder if Zenek's run is timed from SDA timing. Like, I wonder if it's. That's one thing you got to make sure to maybe get right. That fact check that like first, because SDA timing is always on movement, which means the opening cutscene, the 6-minute intro cutscene, might not be counted towards the time, which means that Zeppelins did actually beat him fair and square. That is a possibility.
I forget who made the spreadsheet. I think it was Headstrong, Roser, and Guitar. But this is according to them, this is the first time that they skipped the intro, and that the intro was timed in the first 2 runs.
Really? So that's interesting, because SDA timing was always, I'm sure you've heard the term.
Yeah.
That's always on movement. RTA timing is always on new game.
Yep.
So that was always kind of like the debate back then.
Maybe
RTA
these are
SDA timing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. No, I'll double check before we finish the script, but I'm at this point I'm gonna trust.
The only thing I can really say without in case I'm wrong, the one thing I can say for certain is Zeppelin's had a really good route for the time. There were a couple cells that we didn't realize at the time were slower, like Yakhouse, for example. I remember Zeppelin's run did Yakhouse, and that turns out that was very quickly routed out because that was pretty slow. But for the most part, his route was actually fairly clean. Zeppelin's was very aware of like how fast a lot of the Snowy Mountain cells were, for example. So he would get a lot of cells in Snowy. And the same goes for Boggy Swamp. He also realized that a lot of the cells there were really fast. So he had a decent sense of routing for sure, which really stepped up the game to the next level for sure. I feel like most of the power cells that we collect today, like the majority of the ones that we get today are like remain from the Zeppelin's route, like at least half of it, So he definitely pushed the game forward in terms of that aspect.
Right.
That's one thing I can say for sure.
I'm looking at Ben's run to make sure. Now I'm looking into it. I'm looking to see when the timer starts or when the timer stops. Yeah. Alright, there's a cutscene, they're getting the light eco, and it's a whole thing. And the thing's like like the robot thing is like dying, and it's a whole big deal.
Well, how are you able to tell when the time starts? When
Well,
isn't
see,
it
I know when it stops.
Isn't it in multiple? Isn't it in multiple parts?
Roser has a version uploaded in one segment,
Uh-huh.
like 2.5 hour video.
I'm not as worried about Ben's run.
Well, I'm trying. So okay, the reason I'm looking
more
at
worried
this
about.
one,
Okay, yeah.
because both of them were on SDA. So if one of them, right?
If one time the intro, the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. But yeah,
So,
I can't really speak about the Zeppelin's run.
No, you're fine.
I can't really speak about comparing the two because in case I'm wrong and they don't time the intro,
Yeah, I get it.
or in case they do time the intro, then like yeah, it's like if they do time the intro, then Zenix's run is like miles better, which
Yeah.
kind of,
So
I don't know. I don't feel like it does because I'm just watching this gameplay and I just feel like Zeppelin's just had better movement. I don't know. I feel like Zeppelin's had better movement. Holy shit. Yeah. Fucking Zenix. He's wildin' in Fire Canyon, bro. He like jumped off, he fucking launched off a ramp and landed right on the lurker's face.
Oh, damn. Right. Well, I'll revisit that part of the script.
Okay.
And so then we get to Bill. You had a great thing before we started recording about Bill.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about Jack 1's beginnings instead? As well. Well, instead, but as well.
I tried earlier and we talked about the bundle thing, so I was like, okay, well that's where we are. But no, talk about the beginnings. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to talk about how like it didn't do very well at first, I guess.
Yeah. I tried asking that question earlier.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, let me just go into that.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you need like a more specific answer, just feel free to like say it again.
No, do your thing.
Like while Jack 1 was a very popular game and a very sold game for the time, I don't feel like it, like kind of blew people away in the same vein as like, SM64 or other platformers of the era, which it just has this like very explosive movements with these crazy glitches, like in 2012 Jack 1 was very glitch free. Like there were very, very, very few glitches found for the game. And also the game had a load of unskippable cutscenes, which again, just isn't for a platforming game, isn't going to click very well with a lot of people, like that's just like a load of cutscenes in a platforming game just completely kills the pace of the whole game. And so Jack 1 was kind of like, I wouldn't say doomed, but there was low hopes for the game at first to be as great of a game as it was. So I remember a lot of people like in the early days of the community would run Jack 2 or Jack 3 instead, despite those games being less sold and maybe less memorable for the time. They had more consistent, fast-paced action with skippable cutscenes and more glitches at their disposal and bigger, huge sequence breaks, which were more flashy and kind of like, were more appealing to like new runners getting into speedrunning as a whole.
Yeah.
Because when you get into speedrunning, you kind of want the whole package. You kind of I want speed, I want cool movement, I want these glitches, I want this fast pace, I want a game that's fun to race. And racing was a huge thing back in the day. And in Jack 1, there was a lot of waiting around. And you're just sitting there with the other person in the Skype call, which, you'd be sitting in Skype back then. And it'd be like, hey, so how's your day? You'd be sitting there for a minute because there was unskippable cutscenes. You just had to take them,
Yeah, absolutely. There's a great quote that Jazz gave where, like, talking about like how like the gap between first and second was like really obvious at like the time of like Bill and Prier, but how the gap between second and third was even more obvious. That Prier was doing a race with whoever was in third place at the time, and Prier stopped the race, went to go make a sandwich, ate the sandwich, came back, and won the race.
Really? I don't. Who the fuck was that?
I don't. It's in Jazz's interview. I'm gonna go find it later, but
that's crazy. Has anyone ever spoken to you about this guy, Franson64?
No.
Oh wow. Feel like he might have had the record at one point. I'll bring him up, but we don't have to include him in the video. Franson64 was this Swedish guy who I remember me and Zeppelins took it, like he went into my stream at one point and he like said that he had these times in Jack 1. And he definitely still has a run on YouTube. Definitely. Franson64 Jack. Yeah. It was the no save and load world record. I'll show you it right here. This guy was weird, dude. Me and Zeppelins got into his stream. We got into his Twitch stream. And he claimed he had all these times. And when he started streaming, he had some ridiculous like desync on his on his capture card. So his gameplay would literally desync with audio every 2 seconds. It was fucking wild. It was like we were tripping on acid or something watching his gameplay, because the gameplay would like slow down and it would speed back up to like the audio. And it was crazy. And Zeppelins thought the guy was like hacking or splicing or something like that, you know?
Right.
He was calling him out. He was saying that he was splicing. But this guy was like legitimately really good and stuff. And he had the no save and load record for a little bit. And I remember I told him he should come to ESA 2013. And then he said he would come and he never did. And he kind of vanished, just never to be seen again.
Mm. Can you send me the video that you found? Because I can't find the guy.
Oh, I messaged Geark like a fucking idiot. DM'd to Geark. Fuck me. Yeah, so that's his no save and load record. Another thing that I should say about... Oh, hold up. No save and load, 80% no save and load. Yeah. Let me see if... What's the Google Docs? Is that the Jack leaderboard? Yeah, that's the Jack leaderboard. That's funny. But yeah, this guy was good. And I don't know if he had a good copy of the game, so I don't think he could ever run 80%. I think he could only run no save and load.
Yeah, that might have been it.
So I don't think you should mention this guy because I don't think it's necessary, but it is a cool piece of lore. A lot of people forget this guy existed because he's like mystery man completely. He was very anonymous.
As soon as he came, he vanished.
Yeah, he came, he played for like 3 months, told him to go to ESA. He never showed up. He never said anything anymore. I think he may have showed up in my stream like a couple of years later, like kind of like, hey, how you doing?
Those are the best, aren't they? All right. Talk to me about Qatar.
Qatar. Man, Qatar was very shy at first. He didn't have that much to say, but he was a very big, like, he was a regular in my stream. I think him watching my stream, he got inspired to watch. He got inspired to speedrun the Jack games probably by watching me, because he was hanging around my stream pretty much every day. I was doing runs of Jack 3, and he eventually ended up joining the community and just started racing Jack 3 and doing some runs of the game with us. And his English was also not as great at first, but it would definitely improve a lot over time. And now it's basically fluent, you know. He still has the accent and everything, but you know, it's fluent for sure. He fell off the map when it comes to runs like very quickly. He did some Jack 3 runs. He went pretty hard actually at first. Maybe that's why he burnt out so fast. But he went pretty hard at first, and he started to gravitate more towards glitch hunting. He just sort of found that to be more of his niche. So he found a lot of cool skips in Jack 3 because that was the game that he was running at the time, and he helped me optimize Jack 3 a little bit with a bunch of small stuff that he found. But his first like real big project when it comes to Jack glitch hunting was Lava Tube Skip. I really didn't even think that Qatar had it in him even maybe to find something as major as Lava Tube Skip. I feel like anything that he found prior was of medium size, small sized. but nothing large scale like this. You know, like this was the holy grail that we wanted to solve this holy, like, this mystery. We wanted to solve this mystery
Mm-hmm.
of lava tube skip, and I really never would have expected Qatar to be that guy. I mean, he completely hit the smoke screen, silent assassin style, and just completely within the span of 2 days, just managed to drop a bombshell of a finding. You know, the amount of stuff that he did. He took the fundamentals of what was found for lava tube skip beforehand and made it possible in the most insane reveal possible for the community. I mean, it was huge. Surprised that MP4 really did just blow away all of our expectations, and I'm so happy it's recorded too. Like, I can't believe that we managed to get that on recording. I mean, it's just such, like,
No one sent me this. No one has sent me this.
Lava tube skip reaction. It's also in my video.
I have not watched your video yet.
I shortened it.
The thumbnail. Boomer streams.
That's really unfortunate. His name was Boomer, and then the meme Boomer came out, and he was like, "Well, what do I do with my name?" Decided to keep it.
This is Jack 2? What is this?
He's doing Jack 2 all missions, and in the middle of it, one of the community members called Lost is like, "Guys, check out Qatar's stream. He's got a timer on it." And then people like, he had something special to show and stuff. And then
is this the not RTA viable one, or is this the?
Yes, this is version 1. This is the first time it was ever done.
Okay, yeah, I'm
this
gonna
is
work
the first version of it.
I'm gonna work this into the video.
It's really good, yeah. This is a huge part of my video as well, so you'll probably end up watching my video regardless at one point.
Yeah, I just wanted to finish the script, like get all the stuff that I wanted in, so that I didn't make a video based on your video. If that makes sense.
It's a very good idea, actually. That's a very good idea. I'm gonna try to do that if I ever come across the same scenario in the future, for sure.
I did watch a part of the Josh video because I've watched that before, so I was like, okay, well, these demons are in my head, so let me just like watch the part that I like wanted to remember.
Yeah.
For this like one thing that I like couldn't remember.
Was it the rivalry?
No, it was the thing I couldn't remember was he had records before he did any percent. It's funny, we were talking, and I did a podcast with him that's coming out like at the end of the month. So I had this like conversation like twice, but he was running like offline 2014, and then he did Potato Cam for a little while, and that he wanted to do, he was doing any percent offline, but when they found Red Sage cutscene skip, he's like, fuck that, like, or frick that, you know, like I'm not doing that
frick.
Because what the frick, like I'm not, it's too hard. So he went to other categories because of Red Sage cutscene skip, and then they like 3 months later it wasn't a thing anymore, but he was already doing other stuff. So it was like the end of 2015 or something. But I couldn't remember the two. Like I was like,
that's interesting.
I knew that he did Orbless, and I was like, no, I couldn't remember the name Orbless. That was the thing I couldn't remember. So I was like 100% and what? Orbless? I couldn't remember Orbless. So yeah, no, he definitely find a lot of interesting little things when you start talking to everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, nobody can remember who discovered shit.
I'm only kidding,
of course. No, yeah, just like I was like, who discovered like this? It's like,
oh, right. I do actually remember like
you guys are way better than most, but like and Ratchet is better than most, but goddamn, getting an answer out of like, I'm not gonna say the video before Ratchet was like pulling teeth with a pair of pliers. It was like if someone didn't have a video of them finding it like in real time, there was no fucking proof. There was like nobody knew. That community is like been torn down and rebuilt though, so It's like, it's weird. That whole thing is weird.
Yeah. You really do need, like, it's really undervalued how much you need at least one figurehead to keep things together.
Yeah, I mean, you need really to have a community. You need three things. You need someone that looks for stuff that's like good at like implementing and routing and like glitch hunting. You need one person who can use all the stuff that people find and implement it.
You
And
need
the third
optimizer,
thing, you need the optimizer, and then you need the person who can just be the face and like can get people in the door.
And then sometimes you have all three, and that's really rare.
Yeah, if you have all three at one time, your game goes through a genesis like where you find lava tube skip.
Yeah. I was pretty much 1 and 2, or 2 and 3, more or less, for a while when it came to Jack.
Yeah.
I'd never really found anything. Like, I found some small Jack 1 stuff. I don't know if you knew.
You found what'd you say? The super sexy, found by the sexy Ricky.
Oh, the death warp down to the final boss. Yeah, I found that.
Tell me about it, because it's in the video now.
So the game was just in such an early state where like the most of the, like, there were a lot of things that could still be found. So I basically claimed the right on a lot of the fucking easy shit that would have been found regardless. Like, come on, that death warp down to the final boss. Somebody would have found that eventually, but it just happened to be me that found it first. So I find that really funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of the other shit I found was incredibly minor as well. I found the in Boggy Swamp, there's this rock that's blocking a launch pad. If you get to the corner of it with blue eco and jump on it, you can still, like, a little bit of geometry sticks out from the launch pad, and you don't have to destroy the rock. I found that as well. In the claw boss fight, there's like a if you grab the yellow eco and you quad jump back up to the green, like to the grass, you can avoid like all the boulders. It doesn't save any time, but it means you don't have to do the fight.
Wow, okay.
You can just stand there like an idiot, and you can just bool. So I found that too, and I might have figured out that when you park the zoomer, do you know about the J Hobbs, the beginning is at the end meme?
No.
Okay, so at every GDQ where J Hobbs does commentary for Ratchet and Clank, just any Ratchet game, he has to say the line. He's done it at two GDQs, so it became an inside joke in the community that J Hobbs always talks at least once about how the developers made it so that the beginning of the level is at the end, so it loops back around.
Right.
So people made an emote of J Hobbs like putting his hands out, like kind of like how he's explaining something, like he's holding some invisible thing, and then the FFZ emote is called "The Beginning is at the End."
Oh God! Okay.
There's a version for that in Ratchet, and it's me talking about how if you park the zoomer at the end of like zoomer levels and face the zoomer to the left, Jack always jumps off to the right, and it's because I found out that he jumps off to the right, so it puts you like half a second closer to the exit where you need to be. You know, I always say that every marathon run. It's really funny.
There you go. Hey, listen, man, you're stepping it up. You're representing your brand.
Yeah, that just became a thing, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have to run through the game and then like I'd be like, oh, I found that too, but rest is small. It's just fun trivia.
Yeah. So, talk to me about one of the things that we have, like 3 things I really want to hit on before we wrap it up. I want to talk about Josh, how dominant Josh is at the game. You made a whole video about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but talk to me like what, like, just how good is this dude?
That's a good way to start off the sentence, by the way. Josh's level of like, I'm gonna start it with that. He's just so outstanding, and even past the video I made, he's only gotten better as well. Like, I can't believe that he's pushing Jack 1 still to this day to a point where we've never like seen it before. This guy is seriously like undisputedly for Jack 1, like absolutely the GOAT. In 2015, there definitely was some contention about like who it may be. Oh, no, not 2015. In 2016, there probably was like some contention about like who it might be and all this stuff. But I think the moment we enter like 2017, I'm pretty sure it started becoming more and more clear that like Josh is just the greatest of all time. And throughout 2018, 2019, and 2020, I mean, Josh is completely decimated. He's the only person to sweep the entire leaderboard like multiple times, like in multiple times in its lifespan.
Mhm.
And the only reason he ever like loses, I guess, the championship belt, the title, is because he leaves to play something else. Whether or not he's playing like SpongeBob BFBB or he's playing Rack 2 or something, he obviously loses some of his records. But I mean, he comes back instantly and just takes it all away. If you want to compete with Josh, you're in for a fight. Like you have to seriously put in the work. There's no cut in the corners. Josh, to this day, after all these years, when he was going for a specific record, he wanted to get sub 54 in no lava tube skip. Like the guy will grind for hours on end. I'm pretty sure he did. He grinded for like 8 hours off stream and 4 hours on stream or something. Like that's his entire day. You know, he really wanted this goal. And that's after playing the game for multiple years. So the guy just does not give up. And I even typed to him like the other day, and he's currently going for sub 1 hour, no major skips. And he typed to me, I'm going to keep going even if what was it? I don't want to mess this up. I want to say this correctly. I told him, so let me just start the sentence over. Josh has been going for the infamous sub 1 hour in no major skips. He has 1 hour, 14 seconds left, and that's an insanely good run. He was about to call it quits there, but I told him that he's like, I was like, you know, I'm really glad you're keeping it going with NMS. And knowing Josh and how nice of a guy he is, he's seriously just like the nicest guy. Sends me this very contrast kind of answer where you can really tell like where his inner motivation comes from. And he types to me, I'm gonna get that sub 1 if it kills me. Like if it kills me. Like hearing that was seriously like, I'm like, okay, this guy is good luck. If anyone wants to compete with this guy, good luck.
Mhm.
Seriously. Good luck.
There are some parallels in that conversation that you had with Josh to the conversation he had with Jazz on October 24th.
When he broke down?
Yeah. And he was like, man, I don't think I can keep doing this. And he's like, throw it. And then he's like, I got to quit the game. Jazz is like, oh, man, take a break if you need to. Do what you need to do. Like, but, you know, like, don't kill yourself. And then, like, the next day. The next day, though.
Do you want me to go over the rivalry?
Yes.
A bit. Has anyone talked about Jazz?
I'd really love, like, a really great Jazz quote, honestly.
Yep. Let's talk a little bit about
have
Jazz.
It in my back pocket.
Damn, I got to find something else to say other than Silent Assassin because now he's I've used that on guitar.
Can I tell you one of the things I think is so interesting about Jazz? I want to work this into the script somehow. He's the only person to have the record in like 3 distinct different periods of time for the game.
Yeah, he has different eras.
Yeah, he has it before Lava Tube Skip, before Fire Canyon Skip, and then after Fire Canyon Skip. That's like nuts. That's like years apart.
God, I want to say something about Jazz, but it sounds so corny. Like I want to say something good. I want a really good like representation of Jazz. But really what Jazz is to Jack is what a hero is to a small village almost. He's like the hero that travels the world and goes on his own personal journey. But like when his village needs him the most, which is in this case, the Jack community, you know, when it's under attack or when it needs him the most, he comes and saves the day. And he's done that multiple times in its lifespan where, you know, during the lava tube skip era, during the like over 1 hour kind of era. Let me word this better. How do you say it?
Like before, I said before lava tube skip, before Fire Canyon Skip, and after.
Yeah. I just have acid reflux. I'm like, I'm a
Dude, it's that chocolate milk.
yeah, it is. It really is. But Jazz was like, even during the, oh God, this is killing me. Yeah, even during the 74 cell era, he was there. During the 24 cell era, he was there. And now during 8 cell, he's still here, putting in the work and coming out every once in a while to prove that like he can really do it. Like Jazz really, it feels to me like, I mean, he definitely is raced religiously. He was racing Headstrong a lot way back in the day. And ever since he stopped like racing Headstrong, he's not really played as much. But he'll have these periods. I think what it really is he's like charging that chi, like he's meditating somewhere, and then he comes out and unleashes this whole power and just puts it down, puts the smackdown down for like, a week or two. He just lays all the energy he has, he builds it up for like years, and then he unleashes it all at once in this 2-3 week, maybe a month at max, where he just like completely, dominates and really shows like I can still play the game. And he's done that multiple times during the game's lifespan. Mm-hmm. Jazz won't really say a whole lot when he plays either. Like he'll let the game talk for himself too. But it's definitely true that he's passionate about the game. The way he talks about the game, I mean, it really warms my heart every time I hear Jazz talk about Jak 1. We do voice chat like fairly often, especially these days. And he does say like, I can feel in his tone of voice that he'll be back. And I always know he'll be back. And I can always tell that he loves the game and he would never leave it. It's just that there's always a certain time of year where he needs to recharge. And we patiently await the time when he'll strike again.
I find it funny. Someone said that if you want to find Jazz at GDQ, he's in the casual room playing Jak.
Yep. Which I guess I can go on about that too, just real quick.
Yep.
When GDQs come around, which I've been fortunate to meet Jazz at the 3 GDQs that I've been to, he's just gets this sudden burst of motivation back a lot of the time. I remember as well. He'll be happy to spend a lot of time practicing the Jak games while people are around him. And he says I remember him saying to me personally, he loves bouncing ideas off of people in person because it's so much easier to get instant feedback because he can just point at the screen, just like, what do you think about this? And he points at the screen to like Josh or Headstrong, and then it's instant feedback, and they can exactly explain their thoughts. And it's very rewarding and it's very motivating to him to just get back into practicing and to figure things out like immediately. Like there's something different in the air whenever you're figuring stuff out, practicing, finding strats in real life. And I think Jazz is greatly motivated by that for sure.
Yeah, he said that exact same thing. He was like, I just love it. There's no MS Paint, there's no voice call. You just literally point at the screen and he's like, what do you think about this? It's like verbatim. It's like amazing.
Yeah.
Hit me with the rivalry stuff, and if you want, give me
Bill.
a quote about. Well, I have Bill. Like I'm pretty good on Bill, but if you want to talk about Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, I will. I'll briefly talk about it, but I'll do the rivalry first because we're on a roll about this.
Yes.
So the rivalry. Let me just like quickly like ponder about how like I want to approach this.
You're fine. I'm just letting you know I have a 1:00 interview, so
Okay.
That is 27 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Not rushing it, just letting you know.
Yeah. Cool. After Lava Tube Skip after Lava Tube Skip got discovered and Headstrong had pushed the record down as low as she could get it, it was very apparent to me that Josh was going to be the one to take it that next step further. and when Josh got it, I remember the record kind of fell into a bit of a stalemate. Like there wasn't really anybody trying. But as we all know, like in the background, like Jazz is kind of channeling this energy to be ready to play the game again. And when October 2018 hit, I'd say we probably got the greatest rivalry we've ever seen in the entire series of Jack and Daxter. Josh versus Jazz was like a thing of beauty for sure. The amount that they pushed each other has just not been replicated by any amount at all. And I know that Jazz himself feels that when he is the most motivated and when his energy is ready to be unleashed, he feels unstoppable in some way, in some force. He feels just like you can't overcome him. So that's why he was able to compete with Josh at the highest level of plays. So that's why he was able to beat. What was it? So that's why he was able to compete with Josh at like the highest level of play. They were constantly trading the record back and forth. I mean, it was a bloodbath of 1 second PBs, like completely. Like they were really pushing each other to the brink. Like Jazz would get a 1 second record, Josh would get a 1 second record. It was ridiculous completely. They were pushing each other to these new things, and at the point they were getting to the point where they were optimizing like every little thing. They had to look as far as Geyser of all things to like save 1 second to get an advantage over the other person and to push the game to where it had never been before.
Right, yeah.
Josh was really in the zone about grinding it out with Jazz as well. It was just such a sight to see. When Jazz was on this unstoppable force, Josh was ready and he was there to keep up with Jazz. And I think the moment when the run happened after Josh got 24-18, that's when we really saw Josh win the race. Josh was able to beat somebody that was perhaps one of the greatest Jack players of all time in Jazzberry, who was perhaps at his most motivated of all time, and Josh still managed to beat him. That, to me, goes to show how insane Josh is of a player. And I really think that record, the 2407, I really think that's when he leveled up. I really think that's when he, got to Super Saiyan 3 completely. I mean, that's the turning point for when Josh became the sensei, the absolute master of his craft and of Jack 1. Just completely the greatest ever, completely the greatest to ever play the game, period.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, two people have said the same thing, so that'll sound really great. Like that's when he hit his peak, or like it's when he like came into his own, like that moment.
Yep.
So
for
I'm
sure.
gonna play those. I'll play those all together.
He was able to overcome it himself. It was crazy.
Yeah. And then really quick.
One more quick thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
When Josh said that he was going to give up and he actually overcame that like the very next day, I think something must have clicked in his head. And I think that's when he probably thought to himself, like, I can do anything now. Like, I really can just do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's, of course, when he went on to sweep the entire game. Like, I think the confidence factor completely shifted. I think a lot of speedrunners that play for a very long time hit a turning point where confidence, like the confidence within the game that you achieve something so great and you overcome yourself to such big lengths that you gain an incredible amount of confidence that even glow outside of the game. Like the confidence that you get by overcoming your own shortcomings and your feeling of wanting to give up, you overcoming that can translate into an insane amount of confidence even outside of the game. And I can definitely tell that Josh has changed as a person since that run. I can tell there is a little bit more confidence in him. It's not that he wasn't he didn't have confidence before, but he really does feel like he's just
Sure.
He's dope now. He knows he's dope too. He knows he's cool. So that's it
Yeah.
for that.
Hit me with talk to me about Stellar. Like, I asked everybody, like, if there's somebody who's gonna beat Josh, and people let me know that they don't think that's gonna happen soon. But if anyone's gonna beat Josh, I said, who is it? And everybody said Stellar.
Yep. I think Josh is very. I think Josh is very aware that the 80% record could still go lower. But I definitely think that Josh does enjoy the other and most players, in fact, enjoy the other categories over 80%. But we have seen a resurgence in other players recently, trying to compete with, for the 80% record. And with the return of Jazz, it's going to be interesting to see if he can do anything. I definitely think that Jazz does have the energy, and whether or not he's ready to unleash that is yet to see. But the other newcomer that's on the horizon is Stellar. I only met Stellar recently. Stellar is somewhat of a miracle like runner. He's really somebody that is living proof that you can do anything if you just put in the time. He started running literally 1 year ago. He started in 2020, like at the start of maybe late 2019. And already, let me open the leaderboards. Stellar. Okay, yeah. So already within the span of a year, Stellar has managed to climb it to sort of claw his way all the way to the top. I mean, in 80% now, he's second place. In no major skips, he's third place. He has the record in all flies. And in no fire canyon skip, he's only like a couple seconds off of Josh, which is incredible. Like within a year, Stellar has put in some serious work. And the guy is very likable, really funny, and he's really hardworking as well. So I'm very keen to see Stellar grow this year. And he's not only just good at Jack 1, he's shown really good promise in Jack 2 and 3 as well. So I'm excited for his upcoming in this next coming year. And I made a tweet saying that 2021 is going to be Stellar's year. And I really do think that it's crazy that we're seeing new players like 20 years after the game's release. It's just great that we're seeing new competition arise. And yeah, I really do think it's going to be Stellar. This video might end with Josh having the record, but if you check speedrun.com, I wouldn't be surprised in a year to see if Stellar's on top. Because this guy's getting good fast.
Yeah, for sure.
Very fast.
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Bill. Yeah. Where do I start with Bill? Do I start with his gameplay or do I start with his personality? I'll start with the game. Okay, so when I was watching, when you were watching Bill back in the day, it was very clear that this guy had some ungodly level of consistency to the game. I feel like a lot of the time, like back in the day, there were a lot of these, a lot of speedruns. You still had like well over a minute to save in these hour-long games and stuff like that. When you were watching Bill, he'd be saving like 2 seconds, and then he'd lose like 1 second, and then he'd save 5, and then lose 3. Like his time save and loss was not very fluctuate. Like it didn't fluctuate very much, which definitely meant that Bill had taken the level of play to a very high level and a very consistent level at that. I remember Bill often being in late game. I can recall Bill getting a PB or a record more than I can recall him failing, honestly. But maybe it's just because his stream overall was just so entrancing. His character was very he's very soft spoken, and I don't want to say he was like maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, I'll probably say this because this is how I feel about it. You don't have to include it, but his stream was definitely entrancing in the way that Bill was very soft spoken for sure. It was a cozy environment. I wouldn't say that he was the most confident guy either. He would put a lot of what he said into question. Like, he wouldn't boast about anything that he would ever say. Like, he would always question whether or not like what he was saying was right, I guess. Kind of like not super confident on that front. And it was definitely interesting to sort of watch his character grow as he constantly got better at this game, because Bill really was something else for the game, and he was just so humble about it. He didn't think he was anything special, I think, at the time at all, and I still don't think to this day he thought he was anything special. But I think he really laid the groundwork for consistency when it comes to Jack 1 gameplay. I think he really was the first consistent runner. Runners prior to Bill would always spend a lot of time resetting in Geyser or Misty Island or some of the other harder levels of the game, but Bill really took the speed, but especially the consistency aspect. But yeah, Bill's ability to stay consistent and at a speedy manner as well. He was able to just bring it one tier up over all the runners that came before him, who would be stuck in, Misty or Geyser or Forbidden Jungle, like resetting a bunch over these minor things. Bill really had his head screwed on the right way when it came to how to approach the game and how to push it further than ever before. Like, he had a clear idea of that, and he executed it really, really well. Yep. That just about does it.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, Ricky, for helping me with the video. I appreciate it.
No problemo.